Welcome to Trek Trav. I'm Trav, and this is episode 2 of season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Wedding Bell Blues. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into this video. I didn't know Rhys Darby was going to be in this episode. There will be spoilers, so make sure you've watched the episode before you actually do anything. It was such a change of pace from the first episode, Hegemony Part 2, which is reviewed. It should be up by the time you're watching this one. And Rhys Darby comes in, and in the beginning I'm like, okay, so from what I've read, he was meant to be playing Trelane. Now, that was genuinely kind of what I thought. But what I liked was they've obviously gone through Star Trek alternative media and linked him up with the Q continuum. So while he is a bit more mischievous, he calls himself the wedding planner. He takes one of Spock's wishes and changes everything. So Christine and Roger Corby are in a relationship now. We've jumped forward a little bit ahead. Ortega's has her little brother on board who's really into Uhura. Spock is surprised and shocked by Roger Corby being there and them being dating. And eventually, there's lots of melancholy Spock in the beginning. And then he gets talking to a bartender who is Rhys Darby, but appearing to be someone else, because Spock says, you're a Vulcan. So he's appearing to be someone else. And Rhys Darby pours him a drink and says, your dreams will come true. Essentially, Spock wakes up and he is next to Christine Chapel, and the whole universe has changed to believe it. Now, we see Roger Corby throughout this episode popping in, popping out, trying to get Christine's attention, but doesn't manage to. Spock, we sort of don't know whether Spock remembers or not, but then suddenly Spock punches him because he's angry, he's jealous, because he's going to ruin Spock and Chapel's big wedding day. And who is Rhys Darby? The wedding planner. And it's really genuinely fun that Rhys Darby's he's a comedian and an actor who I don't mind. He's funny. He's sort of quirky. What I really enjoyed was watching Spock and Darby trying to work out what's going on, jumping around between sort of trying to make people angry to the bachelorette party. Spock's general sadness and the build-up to the end is sort of built up. Like Roger Corby is such a central character, and it's very clear in the beginning of the episode that Christine Chapel was taken aback by her love for Roger Corby. She was sort of surprised by it coming up, but she doesn't want to hurt Spock, but Spock is he's been hoping that she would come back. And they played that melancholy and sadness really, really well. I think that Christine Chapel, played by Jess Bush, you can see that she cares for Spock, but at the same time, she's happy. You can see the guy, Roger Corby and Chapel, the two actors themselves have really great chemistry. They get along really, 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 really well. It's just genuinely fun. Pike's wearing his big old green thing. It's Federation Day, and they start to realize that reality isn't there. And then they're trying to convince other people, and it doesn't work until they get to the wedding, and then Roger Corby can't take it anymore. And he gets turned into a dog by the character, Rhys Darby's character. And Rhys Darby sort of forces the wedding to go forward. He's adamant this wedding is going forward. And I really liked the fact that Spock used Roger Corby's words to ignite it in Christine. And it was sort of like him reminding Chapel that Roger Corby loves her, while sort of saying, I love you too, but I know that he's the one you're meant to be with. And that acceptance and that moving on is a really big thing. And it was just heartfelt. I think Ortega's dealing with her little brother, and everyone's relationships. Obviously, Ortega's is still alive, but dealing with the trauma, as we see at the end of the episode when she keeps seeing Gorn everywhere. Uhura's flirting with her little brother. Pike and Patel are sort of deciding what their next steps in their relationship are. Is she going to be a captain? Is she going to be around much? And there's a clear love in the air. This episode is very much about sort of building the relationships. And funnily enough, it's one of those things that in a 10-episode series, you don't get a lot of character moments. And what we got in this episode was a ton of romance or love character moments and also emotional moments. When Christine realizes after Rhys Darby's turned Roger Corby into a dog, that she loves him, she goes straight to him. He gets really, really angry and annoyed, and then we see a light come in. Now, literally, so in the original series, Trelane had parents, he was a child, and this sort of takes that, mixes it with the Q, gives us a Q Trelane thing. And the person voicing the misty, glowy, orby Trelane's parents is, of course, John Delancey as Q from Picard and Next Gen and Voyager and Deep Space Nine. And as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, oh, that is brilliant. That is a really fantastic way to go, yes, this is Trelane, but this is Q the parent. So it was really fun to hear his voice and him telling him off like a petulant child. Is this Q that we saw in Voyager? That was really interesting. I was hoping for maybe a Scott Bakula cameo just to talk about like Federation Day. I wasn't sure whether that was going to happen, to be honest. But we are coming up to the 60th of Star Trek, so who knows? But yeah, so Rhys Darby leaves like a petulant child with Q Blobby Gold. Everyone's dancing, and then they play Wham or George Michael. Wake me up before you go. Don't leave me hanging on, girl, it's so low. I don't even know if those are the words, but that's what I'm saying. And I was like, why the early 90s, late 80s? But they know their audience, clearly. It was a fun moment. Everyone's dancing. La'an and Spock have developed a really strong bond in this episode, which I liked. I really liked. And we learned that La'an wanted to be a ballet person. Pike stops dancing for a moment and sees Ortega's, who just gets uncomfortable and leaves. And she's punching, and she's punching at the end of the episode. And she sees a Gorn in the background. So there's obviously some trauma going on there. I don't know how they fixed her hand. Like I thought maybe they were going to go like a cyborg route with her. But no, they just sort of, she just has her hand back. Okay. But it was genuinely, it was a fun episode, but had a lot of heart and emotion to it. That's what I really enjoyed about it. We find out Pike was an altar boy. Surprise, if you watched my last review. No religion. But generally, this was tonally very different from the last episode. But it's an episode you need, a light episode, but very emotional for the characters. You feel a lot for Spock in this, and Christine, and Roger Corby, and you feel a lot for Ortega's, and you feel a lot for all of these characters, whether positive or negative. And I think that is the best part of this episode. What did you like about this episode? Make sure to write it in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. And I will see you next week with another Strange New Worlds review.